Hello and welcome to Mission Nonprofit. I'm your host, Robert Kam. On Mission Nonprofit, we feature a local nonprofit organization from Thurston County, and this month we have the United Way of Thurston County. And with me to talk about the United Way is Jeannie Gruber, Sara Kukkonen, and Jennifer Thompson. Welcome. And you guys are really doing like the volunteer stuff, because the United Way collects money and they give money and stuff, but you guys are kind of in charge of the volunteer part of the United Way. And by the way, I love your shirts.
Thank you.
What does the Live United mean? What does that slogan mean?
Well, I'm glad you asked. We wondered if our viewers would wonder what Live United means. So we believe that solving community problems together is how we can be most successful. So we have been around since the 50s in our community, and we work with lots of people to bring donations together to then give away to local nonprofits. We believe that the same is true with volunteerism, that when we can get a whole bunch of volunteers together and dispatch them to different organizations, we can solve community problems together.
So what is the United Way of Thurston County?
So we're an organization that fundraises, that organizes volunteers, and advocates on behalf of income, education, and health.
And how many people are served?
So we grant make to 34 programs this last year. In terms of our volunteers, we have over 500 RSVP volunteers and over 1,500 volunteer connection volunteers.
Let's go over some of the things that the United Way addresses. I mean, you talked about homelessness. What other things does the United Way help with?
So you want to talk about reading buddies?
Sure. Well, as far as United Way, our areas that we focus on are income stability, healthy futures, and education success for all. So those are our pillars that we believe are the building blocks for a quality of life. As part of that, we started a Reading Buddy program in 2012-2013. It's a part of a nationwide initiative that United Way launched to recruit 1 million Reading Buddies, mentors, and tutors nationwide.
And this is for kids, right?
This is for kids.
So to make sure
K
that
through 5, right?
They can read at the grade level that they're in.
That's right. If children are not reading by grade level at 3rd grade, then they're 4 times more likely not to graduate on time.
And so that's, in essence, preventing some of the other issues that you guys address.
That's
right?
the goal, is we need more caps and gowns, and we have 125 Reading Buddies in 24 schools in 3 counties right now, but we still need more.
I guess another issue is aging, right, that you guys address.
That's right.
Can you guys tell me about what you do for elderly people or retired people?
Well, it's got 2 ends of the coin. I'm the volunteer coordinator for the Retired and Senior Volunteer Program, and that's a national program that's designed to help keep seniors engaged in the community. And RSVP has very limited focus areas, and they align with United Way's mission to help with food security, homeless prevention, seniors aging at home, and literacy, and then some veteran services. So we recruit on one side, and then we place volunteers to help seniors age in their home. And I don't know if you know this, Robert, but in Washington State, we're doing a great job keeping our Medicaid costs down by investing in services that help seniors age at home, which is where they want to be. Mm-hmm. So things like people can do chores, help someone with their dishes, open their mail, maybe they've got some yard work that they can't do anymore, they need a ride to the doctor's appointment, things like that.
Yeah, and you just mentioned it, but RSVP, that stands for Retired Senior Volunteer Program.
That's right.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, as Jeannie mentioned, we have over 500 RSVP volunteers, and studies show that when people stay engaged in the community, they live longer. It minimizes the risk of feeling isolated, becoming depressed, and feeling lonely when they're out staying physically and mentally active. and meeting new people and learning new things. So it's designed to help those folks stay engaged and in turn support social service networks.
So that's the program for retired and senior people.
55 and better.
And if there are people out there watching that want to get involved with this, they think that sounds like a great opportunity for me. I'd be perfect for it. What they probably want to do is go to your website, right? Is that how they would get involved?
They can go to the website or they can give me a call. I like to meet with folks face to face and learn a little bit more about them and what what their areas of interests are. And people that are retired, I always caution them to start slow, that their time is theirs, and find something that will enrich their life.
Okay, so that's the program for seniors and retired people. But then you also have other volunteer opportunities
That's
for
right.
people. And Sara, you are in charge of the Volunteer Connection, right?
Yes, indeed.
Tell me a little bit about the Volunteer Connection.
Well, Volunteer Connection is a website that we run. It's a free resource for the community that basically works like an online volunteer center. So we have over 100 agencies posting opportunities on the site, and they have a profile page. They can put their volunteer events or ongoing opportunities, and folks can filter through the needs by focus area or issue area or by what activity they might be interested in. And there's about 1,500 users so far that have been finding volunteer opportunities that way.
And these are volunteer opportunities within the social service agencies that the United Way supports.
Yes, and even more than that though. Just about any nonprofit in Thurston County is welcome to use the site. It's a free outreach tool. So there's also organizations like the Olympia Film Society or the Washington Center for the Performing Arts. There's all kinds of volunteer opportunities available.
Well, what are some of the social services agencies that the United Way supports, Jeannie?
So financially, many of the organizations that we've named, Senior Services for South Sound, Sidewalk, some of those organizations. In terms of volunteer matching, we partner again with Together, Family Support Center.
Rebuilding Together.
There you go, yep.
Homes First.
Evergreen Vista at Mercy Housing. So lots of different places because we know that everybody can do something. Everybody has something to share and something they're good at. And so we want to make it a wide variety of opportunities for someone to find a home.
So the United Way not only supports these social service organizations with financial contributions to help their operations and stuff, but also with manpower.
That's correct.
Or people power.
Right, and I think we know that money is not always the pure solution, that it's a combination of people power, people's minds, people's capacity to advocate, and time.
Okay, and so when they do give money to these organizations, where does that money come from?
So for years now, we have coordinated what we call the fundraising campaign, where we partner with local businesses, and individuals choose to give to United Way through their paycheck. So lots and lots of individuals fill out a pledge form and they dedicate a certain amount of money from their paycheck every month, and then that employer sends us the money. So it's like a big potluck where everybody brings something to the potluck and suddenly you have a big bowl of money. And then we have a group of volunteers that get together and review grant applications from the service providers and make a decision where the money should be dedicated to.
Okay.
So the people who make the decisions are the people in our community.
It's very grassroots. You know, even though we have the United Way name, and it's an international brand, everything is very, very organic here and specific to Thurston County. So we have, you know, some of our workplace partners are Townsend Security, OB Credit Union, WSECU, and they run their campaigns and their employees give to United Way. And then like Jeannie said, we're right in the middle of our grant process right now, which Sara's been working on too. And those decisions are made by community members and recommendations are given to our executive committee at that point.
People can elect to have a certain amount of money every month come out of their paycheck. But I did read on your website something about matching funds.
That's correct.
Is that a certain group that matches, or
So,
is it several groups?
Correct, yes. It depends on the company. So Intel, for example, their company matches for every dollar that the employee contributes. Same is true for Boeing and other companies. It's a great way for companies to designate where they're interested in philanthropic giving. It's based on where their employees are interested in giving.
Okay, so it's the employee matching the funds.
Correct.
Well, good for them.
Yep.
So, well, you know what? We do have a video that we're going to play for our viewers that's going to tell us more about the United Way volunteer program. And so why don't we take a look at that, and we'll come back and talk more.
Thank you.
Sounds great.
We'll be right back.
At United Way of Thurston County, we envision a prosperous, safe, and healthy community with hope and opportunity for all. Traditionally, we raise and grant money to support the community, but volunteering is also at the heart of our efforts. I want to tell you about Volunteer Connection, and as you listen to a few of our treasured volunteers, we hope you'll consider joining us. One simple way to volunteer is by becoming a reading buddy. 1 in 5 students in our community don't graduate on time or at all. Reading buddies help students practice reading skills, because when students read proficiently by 3rd grade, they are 4 times more likely to graduate on time. But we still need more caps and gowns, and 1 hour a week is all it takes.
I have seen their reading abilities grow, I have seen their confidence, and I have seen them develop the best in themselves with the Reading Buddy program. They have given me a wonderful gift, and I, in turn, being a reading buddy, believe that I've given them my gift.
Many young people in our community are turning to Volunteer Connection to find ways to lend a hand while fulfilling community service hours for graduation requirements. They are finding that volunteer work helps them gain experience as they prepare for higher education or to enter the workforce.
And I'm a youth volunteer at Nature Nurtures Farm. It helps me a lot with responsibility. It helps me learn my time management. But when you work with some of the younger kids especially, you really need to watch over them. You need to pay attention to what they're doing. And I think it makes people more aware of what's going on around them. Being a teenager, I hang out with a lot of other teens. So there's that part of my life, and then there's family life, but then there's my volunteer life.
Another key United Way initiative is to help senior citizens age in their homes. 1 in 7 seniors do not receive adequate food or nutrition. United Way volunteers help homebound seniors in many ways. Meals on Wheels ensures that homebound seniors receive balanced and nutritious meals while providing some necessary social interaction.
The reason I keep doing it is because of the impact that the people whom I deliver to has made on my life. You start getting close to them and they become your friends. I've got one client that I've helped with his dishes because he has a hard time sitting at his counter. I've got another woman who saves burnt out light bulbs for me to replace when I come by. They start to mean a lot to you, and that's kind of the reason you keep going back and doing it again, because the whole process becomes important and you look forward to the friends you make.
Homelessness continues to be one of the most pressing issues in our community. According to a recent census count, there are over 2,000 adults and children in our community experiencing homelessness. United Way volunteers are actively engaged in finding ways to help the homeless return to a self-sufficient and stable life.
I remember taking a call at the shelter about 11 o'clock at night one evening from a woman who told me she was living in her car with her 2 young children in a Walmart parking lot. When I came to the shelter the following week, I found her living there with her 2 children, and she told me how appreciative she was of having a place that she felt safe in for her and her kids. I really feel it's very rewarding to work for an organization like the Family Support Center, who provides such critical services for families and children in our community.
Volunteer work helps build positive teamwork as a wide collection of skills combine to help meet pressing community needs. WSECU is one such group that encourages volunteerism in our community.
WSECU provides employees volunteer time off to volunteer in their communities every year. One of the projects that we did last year was for our neighbor, the YWCA in Olympia, And we 50 to 60 employees got together for an afternoon and organized thousands of hotel toiletries to make almost 4,000 hygiene kits. And these hygiene kits went into the Homeless Backpacks program. And it was a great opportunity for employees to bond and have a fun afternoon together, get some work done, and the YWCA really appreciated it because they couldn't have done that with the resources they have. It was great.
Now you've seen how just some of United Way's dedicated volunteers are making a difference in our communities. Each and every person can bring their own value, experience, and skills to support a cause. There are so many ways to give back. Volunteer Connection is the place to learn more about how you can help build quality of life in this community that we call home. Our mission is to solve community problems together, and what this place needs is you.
Welcome back to Mission Nonprofit. On Mission Nonprofit this month, our guest is the United Way of Thurston County, and we're talking about volunteerism. So the thing I noticed in that video, we talked about in the first half, we talked about how employers are matching donations that their employees are given, but they're also matching, or not matching, but they're donating volunteer hours. They're paying their employees to volunteer for different social service agencies.
That's right. Yep, that's right. Denise, who was featured in the video, is an employee at WSECU Credit Union, and they are given a chance to volunteer on work time. They have also participated, as she mentioned, in group activities. And then we have an annual Day of Caring, we call it, where numerous people get together. In fact, over 700 last year came together and worked on different projects for a day. It's the single largest volunteer day of the year in our county. And they work on projects like gardening, painting, organizing books, organizing someone's office. And it's for the sake of the nonprofits who really need the capacity to make a change in one day.
This is all just in one day, but it's not in one location.
That's right. It's all over the community.
Last year we had, I think, about 40 different sites and over 700 people.
Is there a specific day during the year that this happens, or does it change?
It's generally the last Friday in September.
Okay.
And we have a partnership with the Evergreen State College, who has their Community to Community Day on that day, which involves college freshmen, the incoming ones, doing some volunteer work. And then last year we also started a partnership with the Olympia Downtown Association so that they could coordinate their downtown cleanup to be on the same day.
And one thing I'd like to add about the corporate element is that this is a trend in corporate philanthropy, and what a lot of our workplaces are doing is using that as a team building or skill building opportunity out in the community, volunteering together as a team.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, you do the RSVP, which is the Retired and Seniors Volunteer program, but there are also younger people doing, and
that's right.
I noticed in the video they were working on a farm. What are the other things that young people do to help out with the United Way volunteerism?
Well, I've actually been going to a lot of the high schools and talking about volunteering and how important it is, because a lot of these youth need to volunteer for graduation requirements, but there are so many reasons that it's important for them to. It's a great way to get experience and professional references and network, and to just kind of broaden their horizons. And I really try to get in there and open up their perception of what volunteering can be, because I think that a lot of people, and not just youth, but in general, people have a really limited idea of what volunteering is. I think people generally go to, you know, the soup kitchen or the food bank, which are great and absolutely essential, but really, no matter what your interests are, you can find a way to volunteer, whether it's the arts or social justice and human rights, or working with animals.
A way that you can enjoy it.
Absolutely, or if you want to get office experience.
Yeah, I agree with Sara that top of mind is usually the senior center or the food bank kind of thing, but there's so many other opportunities out there. It's endless, and what I find is that there's different types of volunteers. There's some that like to be social. They might want to work in an office, sit with other people and do mailings. Then there's other people that want a little bit deeper level of commitment, like being a reading buddy 1 hour a week. Or, and then there's those that kind of want to save the world. And those tend to be folks that might be an overnight host at a shelter. You know, they're giving an advocate at Sidewalk. They're giving a little bit more of their time commitment, and they usually require higher levels of training. I've also run into people that are still looking for work. And it's a great way, like Sara said, to broaden your network and maybe learn new skills that you can then put on your resume.
You mentioned reading buddies in there.
That's
and
right.
that's where you read to children.
That's
to,
right.
To help them with their reading skills.
That's right.
Tell me why that's important.
Well, you know, children are born learning, and we had an opportunity several years back to have a neuroscientist come and speak to us from University of Washington, UW. And she shared that by the age of 3, 85% of our brain functionality is in place. So kids that are born into enriching homes that value education, that understand the value of education, those kids start out kindergarten with about 20,000 words in their language bank. Kids that are born in at-risk situations, they have about 3,000 words in their language bank. So when you're starting kindergarten already behind, you need those years to make up for it. So 3rd grade is the benchmark. And unfortunately, the districts can almost see kids in that grade level that might be tracking to drop out. So we're trying to provide that sort of buddy system so that that person's there as their cheerleader and their champion, and build their confidence.
So does this happen at the school?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah, like Carol Jones that was in the video, she goes in, you know, Tuesday mornings and sits with the 2 little girls and practices reading. And what we found is that some of our reading buddies love it so much they'll add extra days. They'll end up working with the teacher and helping all the students that, you know, all the students in the classroom. So, but about an hour a week is what we say.
Well, that can't be too hard, and that sounds very enjoyable, especially if you like to work with kids.
Yes.
So these people watching out there that are interested in this volunteerism, they should go to your website, and they should go to unitedway-thurston.org and click on volunteer, correct?
Right.
That's right.
That's right there.
Yep.
And then, of course, they can also find a place to click donate, or they can
That's right.
talk to their employer who might be doing the, hopefully, matching funds.
That's
and,
right.
And they can match what they're giving, and their employer would match it. So,
That's right.
all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So, tell me a little bit more about the social service agencies again. You could probably sit here and list them off and keep talking for an hour, but what are the kind of the big ones? I think that the big one that I think of when I hear about United Way is the food bank. Is that correct?
Yep.
Absolutely. They rely very heavily on volunteers, and they have hundreds of volunteers.
They actually have about 7,000 volunteers and about 11 full and part-time employees. They've got almost 20 locations. The food bank has some of their vans that go out to apartment complexes where people might not have cars to get down to the food bank. Their operation is amazing.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
So they have the main one, which is downtown by the,
That's
by
right.
the kind of by the transit center, a little
That's
bit
right.
north. But then they have these other locations that may be just mobile locations where
right.
they just
That's
drive
right.
a van to it and
Absolutely.
you can meet them out there.
Yeah. And at the senior centers, so people that are there at the center can come and get their bag of food.
And you guys do a lot of work with the senior center. What kind of things do you do for them?
Well, you saw Jeff Van Dyke in the video, and he is a Meals on Wheels driver. And that's a really special opportunity, I think, if you have a love for seniors, because not only are you delivering meals, but you're giving them an opportunity to have a little social interaction. As Jeff mentioned, one of his clients saves the burned out light bulbs for him when he comes by, so he can take care of that for her. And it's just a really nice way to provide human connection with folks that otherwise might not get out.
I wrote down a few of the others. You got Grub,
Correct.
you got Olympia Free Clinic, Safe Place, Sidewalk, Panza, Pizza Clatch, community youth services, which is very important for young people who might end up on the streets and
That's
for
right.
whatever reason, and they're too young to be on the streets, so they're a
Right.
great one.
That's
Right. We live in a great community. We live in a very giving community, but there's always something more that needs to be done. So we encourage folks to join us, get involved in volunteering. It's a great opportunity.
Well, we have a couple of minutes left, but I just wanted to go down the line and ask if there's anything you wanted to add before we sign off today. So, Jeannie, let's start with you.
I guess I would say I feel so grateful to be part of United Way. I love my job. I love to get to meet people. I love to know what people do, because there really is something for everyone. And I second what Jennifer says. We have such a neat community.
Okay, and Sara?
I'd like to add that another way we support these agencies is through the South Sound Volunteer Coordinators, which is a group that meets monthly to talk about best practices in volunteer management. Traditionally, there hasn't been a lot of resources for people who are volunteer coordinators and volunteer managers. So it's a really great way for us all to get together, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel, and we can support each other and learn to better advocate for ourselves.
Okay, Jennifer, anything else you'd like to add?
There's so many things under the United Way of Thurston County tree, but what I would like to say is the one thing I would encourage is people that have worked 40 plus years that couldn't wait to retire. What I find time and time again is that these folks will maybe travel a little bit, maybe downsize or move closer to the kids, clean out the garage, and then they sit back and go, now what am I going to do? And there's over 7,000 people turning 65 every day in our country. They're the most educated generation of retirees, and they are one of our greatest natural resources. So I really encourage people to come in and talk with me, and we can find something for them to do that will enrich their life, probably more than the clients they serve.
Well, thanks for joining us on Mission Nonprofit. I just want to send you to that website again, which is unitedway-thurston.org. And click on volunteer if you'd like to be one of these volunteers helping out these different social services agencies, the kids, the elderly, whatever. So I'm Robert Kam. I'll see you next month. Thanks for watching. If you know of a local nonprofit that's making a difference in our community, give us a call at 956-3100 extension 103 or send an email to rkam@tctv.net.